How do you tell a good bread is without tasting it? Not the smell, not the look, but the sound of the crust. Listen.
When you go to an Italian restaurant, most of the time people fill their stomachs first with the bread. I'd admit, I sometimes go to Italian restaurants only for the bread and not for the pasta dishes. So today, we're going to start by making one of my favorites, focaccia. We're going to start by adding our water, flour, and yeast into a mixing bowl. We're then going to mix with a spatula until homogeneous and let it rest overnight. What we've just created is a Biga, which is a fermented piece of dough, which adds complexity to our overall bread if you want to be pretentious about it. Next day, we're going to add our remaining water and yeast and let mix in a stand mixer fitted with a paddle for around 3 minutes on the lowest speed. What this does is it allows our yeast to get a bit of a head start, as we don't want it mixing with our salt prematurely. Mixing with a stand mixer is optional, you can always do this by hand, but the stand mixer does save a lot of effort. After mixing, we're going to add our extra virgin olive oil, remaining flour, and salt, and let mix for 5 minutes on speed 1 and 3 minutes on speed 2. What this does is it develops some gluten strength in our dough, as it's quite soupy and high hydration. Because it's somewhat tough to work with, we're also going to start greasing our bowl with olive oil and let the bread ferment for 1 hour. Make sure the olive oil you use is quite high quality, as it will actually reflect in the overall finished product. At this point, we still have a very soupy dough, so we're going to need to do 3 sets of stretch and folds every 30 minutes to give it some strength. Stretch and folds are quite simple, it's just stretching and folding the dough over itself until it's somewhat tight. We're going to then dump it into a quarter sheet pan and let rest for 20 minutes. Now we're preparing our toppings, which in this case is rosemary, garlic, and salt. We're going to start by chopping up our garlic and or mincing it. I prefer mincing, and I'd also recommend actually mixing the garlic with the dough as it burns quite easily. Other than that, it's just rough chopping our rosemary, as well as also adding some salt on top to garnish. Dimple our dough with the toppings on it and let rest for another 20 minutes. We're going to bake straight into a 260 degrees Celsius oven for 20 minutes, and then at a 200 degrees Celsius oven until golden brown and delicious. Make sure it's not on convection.